All right, one of my favorite people in the business is with us. That is the business of life, Karen Guregian, formerly, sadly, of the Boston Herald. Currently at MassLive. He is with us on the Path Interference podcast, proud member of the beguiling, bubbly, and bodacious CLNS Media Network. It is the rare Saturday morning podcast, which is why, if you've been wondering why the hell have we not had one in 3 to 4 days, Callahan, you just promised you wouldn't leave us. Getting fears of abandonment here after a week away. Look, it's a Monday night game. You can listen to it Saturday night. Sunday, Monday, we'll be back with a Mike Giardi Monday. Karen, have you ever seen those, by the way, when Mike and I just complain? Or he complains. I'm usually in a good mood on our Monday shows.
Yeah, I see lots of highlights of it flashed all over the place, too, yes.
Yeah.
Good
So we'll be back
opinions
Monday.
flowing, yes.
Yes, with Mike. And then I'll have an all mailbag episode for the bye week later, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you got questions, start thinking now, and I will get to them in 5 or 6 days. Marcus Jones, by the way, coming up later in a 4-minute drill. He's also seen highlights of himself mentioned by Pop Douglas, and he very patiently waited to kind of twist the knife back at Pop. So stay tuned for that. You and I have a game Monday night, like I just said, Pats-Giants, and a game true or false. If the Patriots could petition to have a bye week this week instead, like they would pay a decent sum of money just to rest. No,
For sure.
Yeah.
You could kind of see the past week or two them kind of running out of gas a little bit. And I mean, I don't know. They've drawn the unlucky straw the last couple of years and had like week 14 buys. And
brutal.
it's hard to maintain week after week after week after week after week after week after week without some kind of mental and physical break. They're going to get it next week. I mean, maybe it'll turn out to be fortuitous heading into the playoffs, but you've clearly, at least in my mind, seen signs of the fatigue, and they're just not playing as well as they were kind of at the height of the 9-game win streak.
No, and some of the metrics would say, like, no, they're doing okay. Like, they're still tackling well. They have 10 missed tackles over the last 4 weeks combined, which is very good. But to your point, like, even just kind of the focus at some points, or you get down to the goal line, you get stuffed. I don't know. Was it 6 times still at Cincinnati? I think I probably wrapped my head around that.
Yeah, and Josh McDaniels was talking to us, telling us about the little things that they're not doing. Well, they're not blocking. Number one.
Are you with me in that whenever a coach says, "Oh, the little things, you got to do the little things," then you ask, like, "Hey, what are those?" They're all big things.
Big things. Block.
Yes.
Yeah, push.
Tackle. Throw, catch, run.
Or it's like decision making,
Yes.
or the tush push that they tried was just ridiculous, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you have a 6'4" quarterback who can't sneak? I mean, it whatever. Kind of boggled your mind a little bit. But again, I think 4 weeks ago or whatever, maybe they're better on the goal line.
Yeah. All right. They have time to figure that out. What I want to figure out with you here before we get into Pats-Giants is a question I write about for Sunday. And it is making the case for and making the case against the Patriots as the best team in the AFC. And right now, I said this earlier this week, it's hard for me to put them ahead of Denver and the Colts in light of Will Campbell being lost for at least 4 games, possibly longer. Jared Wilson being out with a high ankle sprain. Milton Williams still being out with a high ankle sprain. Okay, that's your most consistent defender, and that's 40% of your starting offensive line. But let's assume those guys are going to be back. The case for the Patriots is the AFC's best team right now at 10-2, which Bill Parcells would say is all you need to know. You are where your record says you are. It's the best record in the conference. The case other than that is what?
For them to be the best,
yes,
they have the best coach quarterback duo. And as we know, having covered this team, that means something. Because whatever some of your other deficiencies might be, if you have the mastermind head coach or the head coach who's getting you to play down to down every play, and you have a quarterback who can lift a team, as Drake May can, I think that goes a long way toward who's the best and who isn't. Uh, I'm not sure the Patriots, of the teams, Denver, Indy, I would put Denver second, because of their coach quarterback duo. I don't think Bo Nix is Drake May by any stretch, but Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl, and he flat out knows how to coach. So, uh, and if you uh, if you made it, who's the best AFC team on their home field? That would probably be Denver too. But but again, I'm going on the strength of the coach quarterback to make the case for the 10-2 Patriots.
It's the best case. It's the right case. I will add to that case, but just highlight what you said. I mean, specifically, you get into some of the deeper numbers. Like Drake May is playing the best of any quarterback in the AFC, and that includes a team that we have not mentioned yet, Buffalo, who I think has like a sneaky dark horse case, but one that entirely relies on its jockey being Josh Allen, who is able to just somehow give them more than any player really can give a team right now to carry them that far to the postseason, though they make the divisional round. Like I go to bed and put my head in a pillow. It's that automatic. The other case for the Patriots is I think there's a level that this defense has not gotten to yet. That I think even though we're in basically December now, they have not attained. And it mostly comes down to their best players. Because I was talking about Giardi on Monday. If you want to know what's wrong with a certain unit or position group or what's going on, there's something missing. Well, look to your best players and ask yourself, how are they playing? Christian Gonzalez, this is a crude metric, doesn't have an interception this year. And I think you and I would agree, unless I'm wrong, he's not been like shut down corner this year.
No, he's last week he let an unknown, unheralded receiver beat him for a big play, and that's kind of those have kind of been littered, I mean, littered around. It's one thing if you're beaten by T. Higgins, and the guy's name escapes me, but it's another thing to be beaten by the Bengals' third or fourth best receiver. So,
yes. So Gonzalez levels up. Milt Williams comes back, which should happen in December 28th. And then Christian Barmore wrote about this week and is just having this kind of strange pass rushing season where he's always close, but not making a physical impact of getting a QB hit or a sack or, many run stuffs. Those are maybe your three best defenders in the entire field, at least three of the top five at worst. If they could all give a little bit more, and Milt Williams will give more than zero, which is what he's doing now in IR, there's another level. Statistically, too, and this is a huge gap from DVOA. So you kind of pick your fighter with the advanced analytics metrics. EPA has them top 10 still by offense and defense. I don't buy the top 10 defensive ranking, and DVOA does not. It has them around 27th. But I do think there's something there that says, hey, look, a team that's that well-rounded, and let's call the defense average. Let's split the difference. They're 5th or 6th on offense, 16th, 15th on defense. Teams have won Super Bowls with those exact rankings. So it's not as bad as it looks. And in some analytics cases, much better than you think it is.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think to the eye test, they're not a dominant defense by any. I mean, this isn't Houston. This isn't Denver. I mean, they don't get to the quarter. It's funny. You wonder, and yet they're not giving up many points a game. Again, teams can move all the up and down the field on them, and they are the worst in the red zone, which kind of boggles your mind. But then you look at the scoreboard, right? And teams no one's put up 30 on them yet. It's right around 20 or less. So, and again, if you have a good offense, that's enough.
Yeah. Speaking of good offense, here's the case against the Patriots, and we'll stick with Denver and Indy. And again, you could throw Buffalo in there, just read, what I have in the Herald about them. But it's mostly Josh Allen is protecting the ball better than you think. He's throwing it further downfield than you think, and he's had his career high completion percentage. And if there's a dude who's automatic in short yardage, his name is Josh Allen. So in all of the biggest ways, they can run the ball, control the clock, have probably the best quarterback, and are still rushing the passer. Indy is an offensive powerhouse, which is shocking for a team whose face is Daniel Jones. And it's mostly because the guy behind him is Jonathan Taylor and this great offensive line, but even their weapons outside of the run game, which is number one. This is like, I don't pick your metric. They're at the top and rushing the ball. Out wide, you still have Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren, and Josh Downs. that is a top 10 receiving core in the league, if not top 12, and certainly your top 4 in the AFC. So this is a deep roster offensively, outstanding numbers offensively. This is just a deeper, more explosive offense that you can't keep up with. And Jonathan Taylor is not just getting your 4, 5, 6 yards of carry, tied for the league lead in runs longer than 15 yards. Denver is the opposite, right? Best unit, I think, of all these teams, offenses or defenses, is their defense. Third against the run, third against the pass, 4.5 sacks per game, 3.6 yards per carry allowed. So if you're the Patriots, you're missing 40% of your offensive line, even if you get it back and they're hobbled or they're not 100%. And then defensively, your pass rush isn't that great to affect Daniel Jones to make him turn into a pumpkin. You're going, if we're not winning in the trenches, that's a lot of stress on Drake May. And that would be the case again, is that their rosters are more well-rounded and deeper, which we knew. And that over time is going to win out if they can get to the quarterback, which both teams can. Which is more compelling to you, the Colts or the Broncos?
Broncos. Again, mostly because of their defense. And because, if you can stop their run game, I wouldn't trust Daniel Jones to win a game for you, especially if you have a good defense, that can get to Daniel Jones. But the thing with the Patriots is, I think of those teams, they're the most balanced between offense and defense, meaning they're fairly good. They're pretty good. They don't have the offense would be the more dominant, obviously. But, again, statistically, the defense isn't all that far behind, middle of the pack to top 10. Well, in points allowed, I think they're 7th or something ridiculous like that. But so the Patriots have good units, special teams, offense, defense, whereas, if you look at, Denver, again, I love Sean Payton, and Bo Nix seems to be good in the clutch, but they're not scoring. They're not scoring much, so that was they definitely have a really weak sister next to the defense. Indy's defense is okay. So they're, closer in proximity to the offense. But again, I'm taking Drake May over Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So Indy is the only team, and you can include all the AFC teams in this discussion. You want to build it out to the Steelers, Jaguars, whomever. I wouldn't, but you can include them for this stat. Indy is the only team that's top 10 on offense and defense by EPA outside of the Patriots. So statistically, again, their offense is I said Denver's defense is the best unit. I think it's probably also the most trustworthy unit, right? Whereas Indy's offense, we see the great numbers, but you're going, Daniel Jones, do I really want to trust that? If you were to take the Patriots and Colts head to head, I think the tiebreaker is what you just outlined. It's the quarterback and the head coach. Those two coaches are top of the running.
Shane Steichen doesn't have the type of experience that Mike Vrabel has. I mean, obviously, Mike Vrabel hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but he won several as a player. I don't think Shane Steichen did. And, he's brought a team to the AFC Championship game, a lesser team. So, if you want to even out the quarterbacks or a little bit, or give Indy a little bit of an edge, then you bring in Mike Vrabel. and I would say the Patriots coaching staff collectively as kind of an X factor that, boosts them.
Yeah. So without Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, and certainly Milton Williams right now, I can't call the Patriots the best team in the AFC, which is not a cop-out because we just don't know how they're going to look when they do come back, or even when they will come back. So right now, I would call Denver the best team in the AFC. You mentioned Bo Nix, by the way, 5 game-winning drives and 5 fourth quarter comebacks. So yeah, it's been a tightrope walk, but that dude knows how to walk a tightrope.
When the game's on the line, he's been great.
Yes.
Who knows what he's doing before that, but but if they need to come back in a game, which they have, if they need a fourth quarter drive, Bo Nix is delivered. You cannot ignore that. So
nor the fact that they have the highest pressure rate in the league, second highest sack rate. And if you're the Patriots, since October started, so like throw out all the September games, extension of the preseason, blah, blah, blah. They've allowed pressure on 43% of Drake May's dropbacks. Don't love that. And you have two outside edge rushers in Denver who have 17 sacks this year. So again, that's more matchup based, but it just speaks to what's most important: quarterback play, pass rush and pass protection, coverage, and your receiving core. Meanwhile, the Patriots, defensively have a below average pass rush right now without Milton Williams. It just is what it is.
This time of year too. I think we saw it last year with the Eagles. Great defense. A lot of people say, "Oh, all you need is the quarterback and the offensive weapons, yada 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 yada." Well, they shut down Mahomes pretty good in that Super Bowl. So, defense, you still need to have a good to great defense to make noise in the NFL. So, in that regard, Denver, you have to strongly consider them to be the best right now.
Yeah, it's quarterback and affecting the quarterback. If the Patriots were healthy, I think I changed my mind.
Me too. Me
too.
Too.
Okay. And Denver's your pick right now for best team in the AFC as we look at them. Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, the beauty of this is this episode will come out in a couple of hours, and then tomorrow night they're going to play at Washington, and everyone's going to go, "Oh, I'm going to go to bed early. I don't need to see the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. The Broncos are going to win." And then we'll all wake up, and it will have been 23-10 Washington for God knows what reason, just because football. Because that just is what it is. Speaking of another primetime game that I think genuinely might have a surprising result, you ready to talk some Pats-Giants?
Sure.
All right, here is the skinny. We do this every week, breaking down the opponent. Here is what you need to know about the Giants. They're 2-10. Pretty bad, but better than you would think for a team with that record. 23rd by DVOA. They're 18th in offense, 28th on defense, 13th on special teams. Here are their last four when they fired their head coach, their defensive coordinator. I think the Water Boys were sent home for Thanksgiving and never told to come back. They lost to Detroit in overtime, 34-27. Before that, they lost at home, 27-20 to Green Bay. Before that, 24-20 at Chicago, and then 34-24 versus the Niners. So right there, you can see in all four of those games, they're scoring at least 20 points. In the most recent three, they've all been one-score games against good teams. So this is not 2-10 and we've quit and we're getting blown out and it doesn't really matter, which those games, by the way, are with backup quarterbacks. And Jameis Winston is the ultimate, who the hell knows is what's going to happen, quarterback, okay? So there's an upside there, but there's also a downside, as you can ask any Giants fan. Speaking of the Giants, no Dexter Lawrence or Kayvon Thibodeau at practice with them this week. It's still Saturday. They've got one more practice today. I'm not ruling anybody out, but they're certainly not going to be 100% if they do play. Same goes for Jared Wilson, who's not going to play for the Patriots. Brendan Schooler seems like he'll be out. Harold Landry and Kairos Tonga. This has me concerned for reasons we just outlined with the pass rush. They did not practice yesterday. Didn't practice, in Landry's case, Wednesday. So that's before Thanksgiving. And then Tonga was downgraded, which Karen hits us all right in the heart here in the Pats Interference podcast. One of our favorite guests we've had. And we'll see. He's also got an injury around his heart. He's got
he impacts them at the goal line.
Yes.
And I'm talking about offensively.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably his most missed role right now. So, yeah, look, both of these teams could very well run the ball. Let's start, though, with the Patriots offense versus the Giants defense. Where do you start with this plan against another defense that, like we said last week with the Bengals, one of the worst in the league and especially on the ground? Is that where you're starting, or is it another place if you're Josh McDaniels and Drake May?
No, I have to start there for a couple of reasons. One, you have to test out, are they really that bad? And number two, because of their lack of blindside protection and because of the players the Giants still have rushing, Abdul Carter and Brian Burns, I would try and keep them a little honest and run the football. After that, I would use Drake's legs. I mean,
all right.
I would roll him out, get him away from the pass rush. I would have some quarterback runs. which we really have, design runs, which we really haven't seen. But you're saying you're putting him in harm's way, but you know what? Having him drop back with that pass rush is and and suspect blocking up front. I take my chances and let him run the football a little bit. But that's just me. That might not be Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, and Vrabel was asked about that Wednesday by our guy Phil Perry, and he you know Mike better than I do, but the longer I've heard him speak at press conferences, the more inclined I am to trust what he's saying. Like, we all know he's wear his emotions on his sleeve, and when he wants to withhold information or BS, more than capable. I'm not saying that, but I think when it comes to football matters, he's going to tell you what he thinks. And with Drake May and how close they are to the playoffs and how fragile the rest of the roster has become, him saying, we want to be smart, which in coach parlance means I want to be safe. I would rather have him in bubble wrap this week. I would, again, rather pay a large sum of money for this just to be our bye week as opposed to playing football on Monday night. And my job is to coach football. I'm with you, though. I think select spots, goal line for sure, short yardage possibly, or even like a 3rd and 4, say you're on the fringe of field goal range and you really, really got to have it kind of down, maybe 4th quarter. Yeah, spring it on him because Drake can protect himself. It solves the issue of how the hell do you block Brian Burns, who's 2nd in the league in sacks right now, and 21 QB hits. Or Abdul Carter, by the way, only a half sack, 12 QB hits. And we're kind of veering towards the passing game here. But the run game, I don't expect them to bowl over the Giants as much as the Giants are averaging 5.9. I'll say that again, 5.9 yards per carry allowed. But I think this is going to be closer than people expect. And when you got to have those situations, I want the ball in the hands of my best player. And that player obviously is Drake May.
Yeah. My other thought is, again, to go with, we know Drake loves to hold the ball as long as possible for the long ball, and he's great at it, yes. But sometimes you need to adapt and adjust. And we know Josh McDaniels' offense primarily revolves around these quick hitting options. And I would really try and, I don't want to say force Drake, but say open his eyes to, Travion Henderson, dump him the ball.
What do you want here? You want like a shot collar after it goes 2.5 seconds in the pocket? Just throw it, Drake. Good boy. Come on now. Give it up.
Well, you see, when you look back at the film, Drake drops back, Travion or Ramondre are wide open to his flank, and he looks at him. Nah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see who I can get downfield. He just arbitrarily just passes those up. It's like it's an automatic thing. I forget which game it was where he was a little better at going with the check down, but again, if he wants to live another day, he's going to have to check down a little more, particularly in this game.
Let's wrap on the run game. Travion Henderson. It's not a rookie roller coaster. It's not
enigma.
Yeah, growing pains. Like, it's late. I mean, maybe it is a growing pains, but it's just been frustrating for a guy that we all see has so much talent. And in some cases, it's just the impatient running, which I've hit on over and over and over again, and got better for stretches late October, early November. They need him to have a big game, and I think he can, not just because this is a bad run defense, but this is a defense that you can exploit, I think, on the edges. And yet, I'd be a fool if I guaranteed that in any kind of way. Where are you on Travion and what he'll do on Monday? Or go to Reminder Stevenson, who's got still hurt, apparently.
He would be my prediction to have a big game. But
cool.
I would have thought that last week too. But again, he's kind of an enigma. You see the talent, you see what he's capable of, you see if he gets space, boom, he's gone. But then you see him kind of run into tackles or not being patient enough, or he wants to run over people. And it's like, God, if you just waited a half second, go,
Yeah.
I mean, we can all see it. We can all play Monday morning quarterback on the film and saying like, geez, what are you doing? I I think obviously he's still learning. He's kind of adjusting to the speed of the game, and he seem to be a little better about that. But again, you still see him like running into piles, like into the people into his blockers, and it's like, God, it's like you can't see the big mound of body that you're running right into, running right up into. It's like,
He's just eager. He's just eager. It's like if you were to try to stay in the right-hand lane thinking that you wanted to get to the next exit, but the exit you wanted was like 10 miles down. You just kept going into slower traffic. That doesn't okay, I get you're in the correct lane when you need to get off, but you're not there yet. You got to wait for it to open up and bounce side to side.
I don't know how to teach that, but that's above my pay grade.
And look,
Trying
I
to
think
get
you'll
him
get there, but you're absolutely right that it's inconsistent, and it just is what it is. I don't have high hopes for Mondre Stevenson, who is at the top of the list or near the top of the list of guys who would need a rest. He told our guy Mark Daniels, that he's still dealing with some turf toe. I mean, turf toe has got varying degrees, but point is, he was back last week and didn't look like he was back, so that's why.
I think they essentially brought him back to pass protect.
Yes,
I do.
Yes.
Because he was a shell of himself trying to run the football.
Yeah. The big game for me, and he's a birthday boy today.
Steph Diggs. He was next on my list.
This team, meaning the Giants, is bottom 5 at covering the middle of the field, and they're bottom 8 deep. They are decent by DVOA at covering running backs and tight ends. So to me, when I look at the middle of the field, I think about him. When I look deep, I think about Kayshon Boutte. And between those two, I think Drake is going to give plenty of opportunities just to go up and get it. Win one-on-one. It could be down the field. It could be just a lob. It could be at the goal line, whatever it is. Those two guys, I think, will be the ultimate bellwether for this game, which normally would be, again, your run offense against one of the worst run defenses in the league. But we just did this last week. And fool me once, Karen. Okay? Good on you. Fool me twice. That's on me. It's not going to happen. So I'm looking at Diggs as, speaking of like best players, that's where you want the ball to go in the big moments. Again, for a game I think is going to be closer than people think. That's the guy I'm looking at.
Yeah, I was looking straight at him too. And, some people will say, well, what about Hunter Henry? He had blah, blah, blah. Well, two things regarding that. Hunter Henry might have to stay in and block, help block.
Great point. Yep.
They might need the extra bodies in there to help out Vidarian and whoever else. Although I think Burns lines up primarily on the left, so that Morgan Moses would be the guy on him, and who knows, maybe Morgan Moses will need help containing him. So anyway, I think the tight ends, particularly Henry, is going to be busy, trying to help out the offensive line. So then I'll go immediately to Diggs, but I hadn't thought of Boutte, and that's pretty good. Although again, those type of plays will take longer to develop. It's more like who's going to get open quick. And that's kind of why I looked to Travion and why I looked Diggs was right underneath him.
Yes. So Brian Burns bounces around a little bit, but there is a sense of, on the defensive line, at least, he is primarily lined up on the left at left outside linebacker. It's about a split of about 30 snaps. So there's enough flexibility here. And left outside linebacker is how they qualified at PFF, which is where I'm pulling these numbers from. But I just wanted to double check because I think it was closer than you described. And so it's even enough where I think if the Giants said, hey, we're going to put you across from Vidarian Lowe, we're just going to camp you out there and you can get comfortable and you can have a picnic. Like that's where he's going to be. But it would, if you're the Patriots, then allow you, if he's in one place, to game plan obviously a little bit easier, to send help there, to run in that direction, to pull Drake away from that. So we'll see how that unfolds. The last thought I had on this is also about Diggs. Hit 2 catches in Cincinnati, where if you looked at the same numbers I just cited, DVOA versus defending tight ends and running backs and receivers, Cincinnati is horrendous versus tight ends. You could see that big Hunter Henry game coming. Diggs, I think, coming off of a 2-catch game, even for good reasons, Drake's going to want to get him the ball, right? Like a little bit more this week.
Yeah, and I think Diggs will point that out. a little bit. um, in talking to him during his weekly gathering
Yeah,
at his
media interviews in
locker,
the locker room. Yep.
yeah, I mean, we asked him about, um, dealing with what they're dealing with, and it, by his tone, it's on us to get open or to do whatever we have to do to help. So I think I sensed not that he's not always determined, but you just he had that extra edge in his voice, talking about what it's going to take to win this game. And I think coming off a two catch game, he wants more. And I think he will make it a point to get open and be a go-to guy for Drake in this particular game. And it's Monday Night Football.
And it's his birthday weekend. We can still count that,
It's
right?
birthday weekend. Yeah.
So this is on me, but we mentioned his name and then just skip right over him. This is the official last piece: Patriots offense versus Giants defense. Darian Lowe starting at left tackle, Ben Brown starting at left guard. Your solutions, help, general thoughts there?
Well, on the plus side, it's not like Drake hasn't had both of them in front of him before. They did last year, although the results weren't great. But we come to find out that Darian Lowe was playing with a torn labrum for the final, was it 8, 9 games or whatever it was, 7 games. And obviously that, good on him to gut it out. But obviously we saw the results weren't that good, and he was like a human turnstile or a human flag throwing holding call. So I mean, watching him last week, he wasn't awful. And again, if you can be competent, and Will Campbell basically gave you a level of competency at left tackle. Again, it's not the best left tackle in the league, but he was dependable. He gave up some sacks here and there, but largely did his job. If Darian Lowe can do the same, or maybe be 80 to 90% of Will Campbell, I'll take that.
I would too. I think there is a world in which, this is going to sound crazy, but stay with me for a second. Darian Lowe allows a sack in this game and plays well. If that sack is his only pressure, if that sack is one of 2 pressures that he allows the entire game, not only is that more than or better than I would expect, I think it's better than a lot of people would expect. It's just that one play will be so burned into your brains, especially if they lose. And this isn't to excuse sacks or say that they're bad. But look, if you could take right now more or less than 2.5 pressures for Darian Lowe, and you guaranteed fewer than 2.5, hell, make it 3.5. You'd take that. Him and Ben Brown next together, I think, is also an issue, because you saw in the very first play, or first third down, when Ben Brown was in there, Cincinnati runs this tackle and stunt, and the tackle goes outside, the end loops around to the inside, and they got to pressure that way. And I asked both of them this week, and go, you're expecting some more of that, right? It's not just that particular stunt, but it's like, backup corner comes out of the field. And who's the quarterback throwing at next? Well, it's that dude who's cold off of the bench. And so it doesn't mean that their awareness will protect them from giving up that pressure. But Dexter Lawrence being hurt or maybe out for this game is a huge, huge help to Ben Brown. And now you're dealing with help on the edges, which the Patriots have been trying to give most of this year. So it's good Darian Lowe's healthy. It's great that he's stronger. Dude looks physically stronger in his shoulders. Ass was like, what's going on? I didn't work out, because you were at least listed with a shoulder injury, even though we didn't know what it was. But it's just one of those, like, again, I think the bellwether is more about the receivers, because that ball will get out quickly, as you said. And the tackle situation just is what it is right now for the Patriots against Brian Burns, who's, again, second in the league in sacks. He's outstanding. And trying to get in Drake May's head, by the way. Just very interesting quote this week.
Yeah. He was talking about Drake May being a little too poised.
Too poised, Karen. Have you heard that in your career before?
No, I'd like to be too poised, but And Drake didn't know. Drake couldn't make heads or tails of that either, or he was a good actor when we asked him about it. But Brian Burns' point is he's looking to make. He doesn't necessarily see the blindside people. He doesn't sense them because he's too intent on making the big throw.
And he said, who is rushing him? Which was kind of like, hey, guys like me come after you. You should pay attention to me, which is also the opposite of what his coaches would tell him is don't focus on the rush. Do what you're supposed to do. Because he also made the point Brian Burns did. Right. Making the right plays, like sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. Excuse me? I think they call it the right play because it's the right play. It's always a good thing.
Do you think Brian Burns took it as like they disrespected Myles Garrett because he had like 5 sacks?
I mean, if he's going back that far, because typically teams just watch the last 4 games that you've played when they're breaking down and scouting you. Maybe he did that, being like, Myles Garrett and I are twins, even though no one would say that.
No, but it's like God. It's like they didn't, Drake allowed himself to be sacked 5 times because he didn't know who Myles Garrett was coming.
Well, and I don't know what the Giants will do, but the Browns played a lot of tight man coverage, especially in that first half. And so Drake's holding the ball, being like, I don't really have anywhere to go with it. So I don't know. I thought it was a very good attempt to Jedi mind trick Drake May into playing a little bit more YOLO ball and kind of playing outside the pocket. And if he does that in this game, I think that's asking for trouble.
Yeah, stupid Brian Burns. That you didn't think that one out. But getting back to your point about the man coverage, I think Cincinnati did a lot more of that. I think teams are kind of saying, look, if we can get home with 4 guys up front and man coverage, that's going to give them trouble, and it has. But ultimately, again, because you have Josh and because you have Drake, okay, if that's what we're going to do, we got to pivot to this. And they seem to be, the Patriots, to their credit, has been very good at problem solving when teams are pivoting. All right, fine, you're going to play us man coverage, fine, we're going to do this. If you're going to play zone, we're going to do that. If you're getting home with 4, we're going to do, they all year long, they've been very good. And it's same thing with the defense at pivoting to something else that either plugs the hole or helps them get past whatever stress the other team is producing on them.
Yeah, it's a pick your poison for the Patriots offense. Not quite a pick your poison this week for the Patriots defense. But again, I think this is going to be a bigger issue than you expect. And I will explain why in a second. But first, look, if you've been listening to this podcast and you're not playing PrizePicks already, we give out PrizePicks picks of the week. So you can watch Patriots games and you can win cash while you watch sports. And it's really simple because PrizePicks is the simplest way to watch sports and win money you'll find elsewhere. And I know you're inundated with a billion commercials. Now, especially even if you're watching Red Zone, which is a real bummer. We all miss Red Zone, the real Red Zone, no commercials, but here we are. PrizePicks is the place to go. They sponsor this podcast. They sponsor this podcast network. And all you have to do is pick 2 players. That's it. And I'm going to give you 2 players here in a second. Every player at PrizePicks comes with the stat. Sometimes you can change the stat. It could be receiving yards or passing touchdowns or extra points or tackles or sacks. You can adjust that number to whatever you want. And then all you have to do is pick more or pick less. You do that with 2 players or up to 6. That builds out a whole lineup over at PrizePicks, which you know by now. I'm doing this with late night Celtics games, holding my infant daughter going, I can't believe Anthony Simons is still on the bench because maybe he's in my PrizePicks lineup and maybe he's not. But if you fill out a PrizePicks lineup today and you download the app, here's the best part. You download the PrizePicks app today. You will get $50, 50, in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with code CLNS. So use code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Here are my 2 picks, PrizePicks picks of the week. You tell me what you think. We just talked about him, Stephon Diggs, birthday boy, more than 3.5 catches. Good? On board. Theo Johnson, young Giants tight end, more than 2.5 catches for a defense that has not been good against tight ends. And that brings us now to the Giants offense versus Patriots defense. Jackson Dart is going to play. Very exciting. Young quarterback. He's got that Baker Mayfield kind of balls to the wall. If that was a phrase, was a person, that's kind of what he looks like. He plays quarterback. I think you need to contain Dart as a runner and then know at some point he'll probably throw you one. But the biggest piece of the game plan is also, Karen, I think whoever the scoreboard operator is at Gillette, when that defense takes the field, I need the number above the letters QTR for quarter, not to say 1. If it is the first quarter, I do not care. You put a 2 in that spot to let this defense know it's not the opening drive. This is later in the game when you can actually play defense. What do you think?
Totally agree.
Okay.
I'm on board with that. Just do not include the opening drive.
Yeah. It doesn't exist. You just jump into the second quarter.
Correct. That works for me.
What are your worry spots here? Where do you start if you're the Patriots with your game plan? We're going to make them play left-handed by doing blank.
Well, I think you pointed out, I mean, Jackson Dart, I asked Zach Kerr yesterday if they might put a spy on them. And of course, he's going to say, yes, Karen, and we are. He's not going to give that away. But he gave an answer like, we'll see how it goes kind of thing. If I'm the Patriots, I play man and I spy Jackson Dart and, see where it goes from there. But, the areas you pointed out, they can't cover tight ends. They also can't cover backs coming out of the backfield. So, teams are going to catch on, or, at least, you saw the Bengals went to their tight ends, their host of 3 or 4 or however many they had on the field last week and had success. But then you'll say, well, Karen, they didn't win the game. Well, one of these days, the Patriots might not be able to cover for their mistakes. But yeah, I like Theo Johnson. Someone's gonna have to cover him, and I'm not sure about their running backs yet coming. But I know that they do rely a lot on the running game, and quarterback included. But Dart is the kind of guy who's a little reckless and can make mistakes because he's a little reckless. So I'm sure that the Patriots will try and kind of goad him into making those mistakes.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is a more balanced offense than you would think for a team that has lost Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo. Like, you look at Wan'Dale Robinson, their new leading receiver by every metric by a mile. He's got 66 catches for almost 800 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has been limited in practice this week, so maybe he doesn't play. I don't know. But from a passing game standpoint, that's where you start. And it's cool if you do want to play, like as we just suggested, man coverage, or you have too high and you kind of stand back. This is where the balance comes in, because Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Devin Singletary are still pounding the rock pretty good. This Giants offense is 8th by EPA per play since the start of October. And that's going through quarterbacks. It's going through different running backs. It's going through offensive linemen. Like, there are enough pieces here with their depth that they can still be scary. If I'm them, I absolutely test that run defense that cracked in Cincinnati and might be out Kairos Tonga again on Monday night. So there are just not that many elegant solutions in run defense other than numbers and effort. So do you want to load the box? And if you do, that's resources away from Robinson. It also could be Theo Johnson down the seam. At some point, you kind of live with that, because, if you're the Patriots, you don't want to give up the explosive play. And I know they've been nickel and dime in virtually every single game this season. But as balanced, as young as the Giants are, I still don't think this is a team that's going to nickel and dime me to death, because I think Jackson Dart's going to give one up. But it's hard because
I do. Yeah.
There's real upset potential here with all of those pieces. And Dart also is someone they'll involve and use, frankly, as a battering ram in the goal line and 3rd and short. So those high leverage got to have it situations, they're good at those too and are willing to throw everything out there. Not to mention Mike Kafka, in case you missed the Lions game last weekend, is calling passes to Jameis Winston. So there's a trick play, kitchen sink element to this team every week, because Kafka wants that job. And they're 2-10. What do they have to lose?
And they have nothing to lose. Yeah,
exactly.
You'll see a lot of that. I'm guessing, and
Yeah.
it's Monday Night Football, and they'll want to show a lot of that as well for a national audience and whoever all the other teams that are looking on. And again, as you said, Kafka's looking for a job. But how would you? Okay, their two best offensive players are Theo Johnson and Wan'Dale Robinson. And Robinson's a slot receiver. Where do you deploy Christian Gonzalez? If it's man coverage.
Robinson for sure. I get it. I think it's just easier formationally to have him there. I mean, maybe third down if you want to put him on Theo Johnson, but just Robinson has been so much more productive. And whether he's inside or out, I can just shadow him, and it's not really going to screw with the rules of my man coverage. If I have to swap responsibilities with him and a safety, and they've got Johnson in motion, or God forbid he's in the backfield, things get a little more screwy for me defensively pre-snap. But yeah, I have him on Robinson, and I'm curious how much they do that, because even when Gonzalez has done it, it's not been as effective. And Robinson's a different type of player than some of the bigger bodied receivers that have gotten him this year.
So you think Gonzalez is better to match him than Marcus Jones?
Yeah, I look, Marcus is on the show today. I think Marcus had an outstanding season. He is not the corner that is kind of locked down, shut down week to week. It is very much more of a playmaking style.
Yeah.
And which isn't boom or bust. Like, there's a higher ceiling on his game, but if you want to eliminate someone, give me the shutdown guy who's got 0 picks, being Gonzalez, over someone who's got 3 this year, but has given up completions here and there against good receivers.
I also think Monday night will factor into Gonzalez.
Do you think he's going to raise his level?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. Okay. Yep.
On the ground, do you have anything? I mentioned numbers and effort. Like, do you dabble with a little bit more base defense in the old 3-4 or 4-3 alignments? What are you thinking there? Because I think that's
I think it depends on who plays. If Tonga can play, which now it's not looking like that's the case. If you're out Tonga and Williams, I might go more base, but again, we'll see how that shakes out. They have to do something to plug they can't let the Giants run wild in their run game. They just can't.
Who is a big game for the Patriots?
Defensively?
Yeah.
I will go with Gonzo.
Okay.
I do think he likes the lights, and which those shutdown corners tend to like. So I'm gonna go with Gonzo on this one. Or B would be Spillane, because he's gonna have to be tackling all over the place, which he's been doing pretty much. So A, Gonzalez, B, Spillane.
I went to the Karen Guregian School of Journalism when we have had the same picks, just a different order. Diggs was my A, Spillane is my A, and he was your B.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, again, the loss of Harold Landry on the edge, you officially now, unless you want to play Anthony Jennings 30 snaps a game, and I don't think the Patriots do, frankly, ever. You don't have a great edge setter. Even if Landry does play it, he's as tough as a guy as there is in that roster. He's not going to be 100%, and that's going to wane against your pass rush. You're losing real big pieces, pillars of your run defense now. And Spillane is the guy at the second level who's going to have to account for that. But also, when the Giants go play action, he has to make the right decisions and possibly run with Theo Johnson up the seam. So I think statistically, this could be the opposite of like, oh, but Aaron Lowe gives up a sack, but it's only 1 or 2 pressures. That's a good game. He could have 16 tackles and a pass deflection, but the 1 or 2 tackles that he misses, if it lets Tracy or Singletary or Theo Johnson, go off to the races, that's a big problem. And that could kind of swing the game. But statistically, I'm with you. Jalen Hawkins is another one who I think will see the tight ends in man coverage and just has had 2 drop picks, and he's just always right there. Like, I always see him in the locker room in those games, and he's just still lamenting the pick that he's dropped. Meanwhile, he still has 2 this year and a sack. There are not many players in the league that have that, and 50 or whatever tackles he's got. But those 2 have my eye on. All right, how do you expect this to play out?
my head says that this could be a Giants upset, but my heart always rules. So so I'm gonna go with the Patriots in a squeaker.
What's the score?
I'm gonna go 27-22.
Oh, I like it. Don't see many
Mhm.
22s.
Mhm.
I'm picking the upset. Don't love it.
So
I
you and
think
I still think alike.
it's
Go ahead.
I mean, I kind of been hinting at it all episode, right? Like this is they're
Yeah.
better, they're more balanced than you think. Here are the players that could be an issue. Look, it's just they've played now 13 games in a row. You want to throw in the preseason, that goes to 16. That's not entirely fair. But the point is this: they're tired, they're banged up, and they know it. The Giants have nothing to lose, and they've been really close in all these games with the Packers and the Lions, and before that, Chicago, which is now another good team. I think they break through inevitably, and some of the ways that they can give the Patriots issues, specifically with their pass rush and throwing to guys like Theo Johnson, and we'll see about Wan'Dale Robinson if he gets a shadow or not, are real that the Patriots haven't had answers for. And throwing their run defense weakening for a team that, again, is pretty balanced and eighth by EPA since the start of October. There's a lot of
Mhm.
danger here. That said, Jackson Dart could puke up 3 pick sixes, take a page from Jameis Winston, and here we are 40-10, and my mentions will just be Callahan, you idiot. And I'll be like, okay, good for the Patriots, and they go into their bye week, and everyone feels good. So 23-20 is a score that I picked. It's a little bit lower. I just don't think the Giants turn up 30 on them. So I think this is just a game where the red zone is just such a killer for the Patriots. Actually, you know what? Let me revise that. Let me go 27-23. How about that?
Ooh, 4 point. I have a 5 point spread. You have a 4 point spread.
I know.
Both
Very boring
opposite
episode.
directions.
Just yeah. I
You know? But there's no. It's so weird to say. A two-win team is the perfect foil for the Patriots, but
yeah, I mean perfect is strong,
what
but I
but
hear what you're saying.
but where their strengths are and what the Patriots have trouble with, it's like the perfect storm kind of with with the Giants having that perfect storm to pull off an upset.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're good. All right. You have to go. I have to go. We're gonna go see our pal Mike Vrabel, who will tell us about who's injured and who's not. Oh no, he's gonna tell you.
Yeah,
Um,
he's gonna
Is that
tell
the
me.
question? Is that easier for you on Fridays, by the way? Because
Oh
people
yeah.
who are in the know that you get the first question. And anyone who watched ESPN last month on Sunday NFL Countdown and saw your
Yeah.
segment knows you asked the first question. Is that just, all right, Mike, give us the injury report now? Tell us now.
Yeah, it's like I can ask a mindless, obvious question as opposed to trying to come up something that's like he's not going to give me a dirty look over, but also
Those dirty looks are not for you. They're specifically for the columnists who write about how healthy the Patriots are right before they get
yes,
smoked and banged up in their
um,
worst win of the
but
season.
but I need to hold up my part for my fellow journalists to come out, not be shy about asking the
Oh,
tough
no.
question.
No, you're never shy.
So,
No.
uh, but I have to word it just right. So, you know, he will answer it and not basically, it won't like set the tone for a bad Mike Vrabel the rest of the press conference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You got to be pretty
Mm.
airtight. Not Bill, who you used to have to treat like a witness on the stand, and not in a way of being hostile. It was just like this needs to be direct and specific. And even then, if he just wants to say, I don't know, but it can't be like you follow up a question. Do you think this? Or is it maybe that? And then he just clings to the that, which is irrelevant and goes on, but doesn't answer, do you think this?
Yeah.
But yeah, Fridays are easy injury questions. Or you could, tweak them about Ohio State, Michigan, which by the time people hear this is over, but it's not been great as of late for those Ohio State Buckeyes, even though they're having the best season with Matt Patricia, defensive whiz.
Matt, baby, looking for that next head coach job
Oh, God.
or offensive coordinator job.
Don't come to UConn is all that I ask. All right, she is Kara Guregian, MassLive. Thank you. I will see you soon. This is always a pleasure. All right, happy Thanksgiving here with Marcus Jones. Scored another touchdown against the Bengals, who I think by now probably have banned him from the city of Cincinnati. We'll have to check in with the mayor because he's scoring more touchdowns against them than anybody. Your second time on the 4-minute drill. We're going to start the clock. I have some questions for teammates Does that alarm you, worry you, make you smile? How do you feel about that?
Nah, it doesn't worry me at all. I'm ready. Let's get it.
Yeah, that's a captain. All right, starting the clock right now. First question we ask everybody: do you have an Uber alias when you call for a ride? A fake name?
Nah, I don't. So I probably will. People always tell me, even normal people, they'll be like, yeah, I still have an alias and everything, but I haven't done it yet. No.
What's the most awkward Uber interaction you've had, if any?
I would say it wasn't any like awkward ones. It was just like whenever you're trying to get dropped off at the right spot and they're missing the spot or missing the turn and everything. Yeah. So it wasn't awkward, but I was just like, okay, like we're going the wrong way and everything. So that was the main one.
All right, you were named the Art Rooney Sportsmanship nominee for the Patriots this year. That happened today. When is it hardest for you to be a good sportsman?
I wouldn't say it's hard. Of course there's people, out there on the field that like to trash talk, but it doesn't like affect me anyway and everything like that. I feel like, just being smart about it and everything is very important for sure.
How about like ping pong with Drake? Did you ever play with him?
No, I haven't played, but I've seen him and Hunter. They go at it and everything, but it's competition. So, like, yeah, I give him a little trash talk for sure.
All right, speaking of trash talk, we had one teammate, you might be able to guess him, who wanted to know, why does the University of Houston only play at 10 o'clock on weekdays when nobody's watching?
Yeah, that sounds like KC. yeah, that sounds like KC. He be hating, he's from H-Town as well and everything like that, so he gives me a hard time. But, it's funny for sure. Yeah.
All right, a real one, though. Why can't you ever get a window seat on the plane? Is that a thing?
Oh, I honestly don't care about having a window seat, but yeah, I do sit towards the aisle and everything. But no, I do sit actually towards the window. So who said I don't have a window seat? KC just be talking. He don't know most of the stuff and everything like that.
Okay, last time we go to him for questions, which I like the aisle, though, because that's like the slot of the plane. You're playing a little bit more inside. You got to go both ways. Give us your best recruiting story, something that might have happened on a visit or feedback that you got. We were just something you obviously sticks with you.
Yeah, I felt like my recruiting trip and everything. You saying in like high school and college?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would feel like whenever I went to Troy University, that's whenever I first I went there. It was pretty cool, just from the sense of it was a small town, but they showed you the things of like education and football and stuff. Because most of the time, whenever you're there, they want to show you everything. But like Troy, Alabama, they don't have too much to show. So it was like, all right, we have this, and this, and I was like, okay, you guys are straight to the point with it and everything. And I met a lot of people out there too as well. So I cherish the relationships that I have out there.
Cool. All right, give us a short joke that kind of cut deep, but you were like, all right, that's too good. That's some respect. Some point in your life.
I don't have a joke, but I mean, most of the time people always want to talk about height. Yeah. It doesn't like, get me mad, but I'm just like, okay.
But maybe even middle school, you were just like, man, you're being a dick. But like that one was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say just mainly the height stuff. That's the only thing people could really talk about and everything. So whenever I walk up in the store, sometimes, they might be like, hey, you look bigger, on TV in person. I get that a lot. Okay. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Gonzo told us a couple weeks ago that Coach Vrabel has a way of getting under guys' skin to motivate them. Has that happened to you?
No, I wouldn't say it's happened to me. I would say, he just has a standard that he always wants us to play by and everything, and I respect it, a lot and stuff.
It's also part of his personality. It's not like a bad thing, but Gonzo was like, yeah, he's gotten me a couple times, you know what I mean? And if it works and you play better, it's good.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that.
Okay. If you get to steal one skill from another DB across the league, what's the skill, and who is that DB?
I don't feel like it's like one skill, but I would just say, if I could be a little taller, that would definitely help out. So if I was able to, get a little bit more height, that would help out for sure.
Yeah, all right. You're stranded on a desert island. What's the one teammate you want to have with you? Not your best friend, but the guy who's going to scavenge the best, build fires, and then the teammate you least want with you.
I would say school. I would definitely bring school with me. And then least amount, I actually seen that Pop ended up saying me or something like that.
That's exactly what he said.
I'm doing the same thing. Pop is not coming with me. He can't do nothing and everything like that. So
yeah, Pop had one of the all-time interviews. He gave us the alias. What was his name? I think we'll have to play it a little bit later. Leonard. My name Leonard.
Oh, no, I don't have that.
He doesn't look like a Leonard, right?
At all.
All right, cool. Last one. Who should we interview next and why?
Definitely Gonzo. If you guys have an interview, Gonzo, definitely Gonzo.
We did Gonzo last year. We learned that he shops a lot on TikTok, and I haven't asked him about that this year, but we'll stick with that.
Yeah, no, for sure. He does.
Appreciate you, Marcus.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.